Good afternoon. Jeff Dawson here, Dallas, Texas. Amazon best-selling author, Love's True Second Chance, Occupation, and several others. Type a note here. Well, I did something I don't seldom do, and I actually watched Tucker Carlson last night. As I have said in many past videos, I can't stand the media. I don't care which channel it is. And he just solidified my opinion on that when he talked about immigration. He went into Reagan, and I'm old enough to remember when Reagan had was it 3 million illegals amnesty? That was like 1986. I remember watching it on TV. Okay. Well, I guess that was a good thing. And being that I'm in construction in Dallas, obviously there is a large Mexican. These aren't Hispanics. These are Mexicans. These are people that came from Mexico, some legally, some illegally. They came up here to get a better life. Thumbs up. I'm very good friends with many of them. Because most of them, they learned English and they became citizens. And when Dallas went to bilingual schools, I asked them for their opinion on that, and they were not pleased at all. It's like, well, if anybody should be happy, you guys should be. No, they were not. They said, this is America. This is Mexico, and you come down to live, you will learn Spanish. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, that's why I'm not going down there, because I don't have the ear for a foreign language. Believe me, I have tried. I took 2 years of German in high school. I do remember some of that, but when it comes to Spanish, there's just something about my auditory. I can't hear it. I've tried. They've tried to teach me until they, like my professor in college for Calculus 2 said, you just don't get it, do you? I said, yeah, pretty much. I guess you could beat me over the head with it. And I don't know if I could ever hear the intonations, but I've noticed that all of my life. There are certain things that I just don't hear. I've had all the hearing tests. Everything comes back good. Yeah. And there was great rejoicing, as they say in the Monty Python in Search of the Holy Grail film. But Carlson is talking about the doom and gloom of the electorate. Okay. I've been talking to my Mexican and friends, and one was a Colombian. And we talked about this. Just where is America headed? Well, in 2017, Joe Biden said, which I don't know where he gets his facts, but he said that it'll be the first time that the white population is going to be the majority. Now, I don't know where he gets his facts. I guess Ask Central or something. I don't know. So I looked it up this morning. And as of 2020, whites 59.7, black 12.5, Hispanic 18.7, Asian 5.8, and other is 3.3. So I don't know where he's getting his math. So whites are still, you want to round up, compose 60% of the population, of which, let's do a quick little math deal. 330, 123, 123 times 0.06. So what, 198 million Americans are white? Okay, and there was great rejoicing. Yay. But if you watch Tucker, We understand there is a problem at the border. This is a given. Okay. It's a given. Trump had it under control to a degree. You didn't have to like the guy, but the policies were working. He had agreements with Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras. This stops today. We're moving on. Now, you control your people. We'll let you in, but we're not just going to have this open the dam and just let the floodgates go. Joe has done that. But then every president since Reagan has talked about this. You didn't hear about Kennedy and Johnson because Kennedy gets killed. Johnson gets us knee deep in Vietnam. Nixon is tied up with Vietnam. And then the recession. And then we get Jimmy Carter. My name's Jimmy Carter from Georgia. So it doesn't really rear its head until Reagan takes office. Now, go back and look at elections since, what do I got here? 1916. We've had Republican and we've had Democratic presidents. The longest stretch was the run of FDR to Harry Truman. And you go look at the maps, and it's blue, but you can see it's starting to shift a little. Starting in 40 and 44. People are looking for a change, but they're not sure what the change is. And then Harry takes over because FDR dies, and then he gets reelected. And you can still see, if you want to call it waffling, call it waffling. There's a little bit of waffling going on. Americans weren't quite sure which direction to go. And then Dwight D. Eisenhower runs for office, and boom, country goes red for 2 terms. Ike serves twice. And then we get JFK, and we know he's running against Tricky Dick, and JFK knew how to use the new medium of television, and Richard didn't understand it. And if you watch the video they have of them doing a debate, Nixon's eyes are shifting back and forth, and he's sweating like a pig. He didn't understand this new medium. His people didn't understand it, and he got hammered. I mean, that's all there is to it. And then we get LBJ, okay? So we got Democrats for 2 terms, then we get Nixon for 2 terms, we get Carter for 1, we get Reagan for 2, Senior for 1, Clinton for 2, Junior for 2, Obama for 2, Trump for 1, and now we've got Biden. But the point of Tucker's, I don't know what the hell you'd call it, his monologue, his menagerie, his BS. I mean, I am not going to watch a show because that's all it is. It's not news. It's just a damn show. Nothing more, nothing less. To sit up there for 10 or 12 minutes, sometimes 15, and just toot and holler and raise hell and go on. And I know all the Republicans are up in arms over the election results of 2020. I mean, the fiascos, if you want to call them that, Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, all the chinachery that was going on, all the backdoor stuff. I still think a lot of this is going to come out in the summer. Yes, it's not going to make a difference. Biden sworn in, so we move forward. But Carlson's whole point was that a Republican president will never be elected again because of the mass influx of immigrants. Now, if H.R. 1 passes, there could be some validity to this because you don't have to show identification on the mail-in ballots. You don't have to prove you're a resident. Now, that just can't be. And yes, that's in H.R. 1. I've done a video on that. But still, it's going to take a whole lot of people. Now, the one thing I'm going to be watching is the 2022 midterms. Let's see how many people show up in these battleground states, because a third of the senators are up, and we know every congressman has to run for office again. So let's see how the results of that election, their results show up versus what the amount of voters that came out in 2020. But my point here is this. I am not on the bandwagon of a Republican president will never be voted in again. If that was the case, then how did the Republicans gain, what was it, 15 seats in the House? 13? America is always shifting. Just look at it. And when it shifts hard. Now, it didn't in 2016. That was a real close race. Hillary got 65 million votes. Trump got 62.5 million, but he won the Electoral College. And of course, everybody was up in arms over the Electoral College on the left. Oh, we got to get rid of it. We just need the popular vote. But you didn't hear that in 2020, did you? Where did that argument go? Well, it went out the window because their candidate won. But for Tucker to make this outrageous claim, and a lot of Republicans that, well, based on this, Republican will never win this presidency again. My God, what was it? 1994 when the Republicans gained the House in something like, what, 30 years? I'd have to go back and look that up. And I don't think Reagan had the Senate. Now, I'll have to verify that, but America is always shifting. And anybody who doesn't understand that really needs to do some historical research and not listen to the bobbleheads of NPR, MSNBC, CNN, ABC, CBS, Fox, you name it. That's the media. And I just love that term, the media, especially when these guys on Fox and the gals on Fox use it. Well, the media, well, you are part of the media. And we also see it in sports. Well, the media, well, you quit talking in the third person. You're the one saying it, you dumbasses. Nobody else. It's you. You're the one that made the claim. You're the one that put the story out there and blah, 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 blah. God, I just can't stand them. But to make this claim is to not understand how America is always shifting. We are a people that will tolerate a lot. How long did we tolerate the British telling us what to do? Until it got to a breaking point. That was enough. And then the British tried it again. Only this, they thought, hey, we can do this again in 1812. We'll just sneak in the back door and burn down the White House and life would be good. Yeah, life wasn't too good when you burned down the White House. If you wouldn't have done that, you might have actually won that war. But that's what galvanized Americans across this broken country with no form of modern communication. What do you got, the telegraph? That's what got the British beat, because at that time, the coffers were empty. Americans overall, off of the East Coast, didn't give two shits about what was going on over there. They had their own lives to deal with. Oh, you burned the White House down, you bunch of dumbasses. Good job. In the Civil War had been baking since the 1780s. The Declaration of Independence. Slavery was a battle then. Look that up. Because a lot of the guys that signed that, they wanted to abolish slavery, but the Carolina said, hell no, you do that, we ain't signing up. Well, damn, we can't have a state or two that are sympathetic to the country we're about to go to war with when we sign this document. And now the British have a staging base. In fact, they can cut off Georgia and Florida and take them out and then just wheel around and drive up north. Oh, we can't do that. But it just appalls me at what the media thinks is important. And I love it when they say a majority of Americans, and then they come up with a poll of 1,500 people out of 330 million to validate their source and their position. That's not validation to me. Who'd you call? One of these days, I'm going to have to do a poll of my own. I don't know how I'll do it, but I'm really thinking about it. I mean, you don't know who they call. You see the numbers of people that they talk to, well, but you don't know any affiliations. And if I make calls just in Dallas County, and I know they're in the South, the West, and half of the East, I know what type of responses I would get on Republican issues. No, no, no. Now, if I get from, say, uptown going north, it's going to start shifting on opinions. Even though Dallas is still a Democratic county. Okay, well, it is what it is. But I'm really tired of the press. I'm trying to watch WGN and see if they have a better take on things. Berlisle, is that her name, I believe? Nicole Berlisle. She has the 5 o'clock slot now. And I'll say she's actually doing a good job. But it's starting to wane, just like it did when WGN first hit the air. They hit it running, and their political analysis, I think his name was Jensen. God, he hated Donald Trump. I mean, every time he had to talk about Trump, you could just feel the venom coming out of his mouth. And it's like you get the wrong guy to do this when you say, we're going to give you both sides of the story. You can tell by a person's mannerisms, the inflection in their voice, if they like or dislike somebody. And it was very obvious he did not like Donald Trump. And it's like, well, you just shot yourself in the foot. So they had to change their whole format. And I don't think he's in there anymore. Shocking but true. I think he's gone. Fair and unbiased. What a bunch of crap. But they are trying. Now they got, I think, like 5 hours. No, I'm not going to watch Banfield. I just can't stand it when she goes, let's talk. Oh, shut up. Really? What are we, in high school? Are you having a sorority convention or something? No. Who was the gal that CBS hired? God, I can picture her, but she was the first female sports announcer that CBS hired. I'm going to have to look her name up. I liked her. She was good. In fact, she was a Miss America. What was her name? Oh, damn, it's on the tip of my tongue. Well, I can't think of it. I liked her. George. Phyllis George, that was her name. She was good because she wasn't an airhead. She wasn't a bobblehead. I watched Dana Perino occasionally. And Ainsley. Martha McCallum. No. And who is that? Brim or something? They're just up there to write books and market them. But they add nothing to the discussion. I'm getting off track. But I don't believe Tucker at all. Occasionally he does have a good story, but if I watch more than 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes of news a day, that's about 10 minutes too much usually. But I am not hanging up the fight. I am not giving in, saying we won't have another Republican president. My God, what do you think those people thought from 1932 to 1952? 20 years. Democrats ran the country. Right or wrong. Hell, they won World War II. You can't take that away from them. They kept Korea from becoming completely communist. There's good and bad in all parties. That's a given. History proves it. No administration's policies work out 100%. And anybody who thinks they do is just ignorant and they don't look at the facts. I don't know what they look at, but it's ridiculous. But I just wanted to comment on Tucker's useless monologue on that we'll never see another Republican president, because that's just fear mongering to me. That, when it's all said and done, it adds nothing to the story, to the narrative, and it's just baseless bullshit. That's all I got.